One TV special report.
Multidisciplinary case management. This was already discussed earlier by Sergeant Akaak. No? Bringing together more than two groups of disciplines or professionals from different backgrounds to organize and carry out work to address the holistic needs of the child survivor and their families. It is a collaborative process of assessment, planning, implementation, and review. No? So basically, there is a collaboration between social workers, psychologists, teachers, law enforcement, and among others. A multidisciplinary case conference refers to a forum which professionals having a major role in the handling of online child abuse and exploitation cases can share their expertise, no, and concern on the child or the children. The conference analyzes risks and recommends actions to be taken in relation to the welfare planning of the children and their families. And of course, subject to strict confidentiality rule, all discussions and informations would be kept confidential. Trauma-informed care, as defined under the National Child Traumatic Stress Network, is an organizational structure and treatment framework that involves understanding, recognizing, and responding to the effects of all types of trauma and seeking to employ practices that do not traumatize or re-traumatize. We also have a network of care, no, referring to a trauma-informed network of government and private facilities and service providers within a region which offers programs and services for OSAIC-CSAM survivors and their families, no, with a protocol that facilitates efficient and effective communication, coordination, and collaboration in service delivery. Foster care and kinship care, we already know that, no, those planned temporary substitute parental care or care by a relative or another member of the extended family, or those duly licensed by the DSWD. Survivor Network refers an all-inclusive program for members in the Philippines from different case types of violence and who desire and pursue safe communities through justice systems that protect the most vulnerable. We also have a local survivor group, a group of survivors in a specific region who have come together for a cause and to support one another, and these groups may be affiliated with the IJM, its partners, and others. And finally, survivor leadership. No, it means survivors are engaged as leaders who shape the programs or projects to their direct contribution, and survivors are impacting and leading the movement against violence and slavery. So in addition to the prohibited acts provided under RA 9775 or the Anti-Child Pornography Act of 2009 and Republic Act number 11930 or the Anti-OSAIC-CSAM law, it shall be unlawful for any person to commit any of the following acts.
Attorney Dodds, before you proceed.
Yes, Attorney Mars.
Actually, this provision on Section 5 underwent an overhaul by the Osami City Justice Council. Kay ang atong ordinansa, it suffers certain defects. It might reduce the deterrent factor of the penalty. No? Kay atong prohibited acts, mamaora po sa prohibited acts under 11930. So, basta mo plea bargaining ang mga prosecution, ang victims, so magamay ang penalty. Kaya at penalty sa LGU, we are allowed only to penalize up to 5,000 in fines and a maximum of one year imprisonment. So, gamay rin ang penalty. So sa RA 1190, takas kayo penalty. So, basta mo compromise. So, gi-overhaul na sa atong decision. Thank you kayo mga judges, prosecutors, IBP sa inyong pag-overhaul. So proceed, Attorney Dodds, please.
Okay, thank you, Attorney Mars. So this was added actually by the Ozamis City Special Justice Zone, no, the prohibited act. So first is the failure to report by any person who has knowledge or information of facts or circumstances that a child is suspected to be a victim of OSAIC-CSAM or other related trafficking, or is about to be a victim of sexual abuse, exploitation, or any sexual activity under Section 10 of the Ordinance. Next is the failure to immediately notify, whether done by willfully or negligently by any mall owner or operator, owner or lessor of the other similar business establishments, teachers, health workers, and barangay workers, to notify the local PNP of the city of Ozamis or to any of the following agencies under Section 10 or to any of the members of the multidisciplinary task force within 48 hours from obtaining facts and circumstances that child abuse, sexual exploitation, or any sexual activity involving a child is being committed in their premises under Section 12, Paragraph 1 of the ordinance. The third one is failure to report, whether done willfully or negligently by any photo developer, IT professional, PSPs, and any person who has direct knowledge or any form of child sexual abuse, exploitation, or its dissemination of materials or transactions to the proper authorities within 48 hours from discovery thereof under Paragraph 2, Section 12 of the ordinance. And failure to post within reasonable time anti-OSAIC and CSAI materials within its premises by the owners of internet cafes and kiosks, as well as PSPs or other similar establishments under Section 14 of the ordinance. So, for the roles and responsibilities of the LGU, being part of the JSCC established Special Justice Zone, we recognize its primary responsibility to protect children from all forms of OSAIC and CSAM, including all activities and dissemination of materials. Its offices, departments, and instrumentalities shall prioritize and undertake to perform the following. First, to monitor and regulate the establishment and operation of internet cafes and kiosks or similar establishments, hotels, hospitality establishments, resorts, inns, other public places with internet access and similar establishments to prevent violations of RA 11930. The Ozamis City Special Justice Zone added the hotels, hospitality establishments, and other similar establishments basically to encapsulate not only for the ordinance not only to apply to operation of internet cafes and kiosks, but also to other public establishments. Next is to monitor and document cases of OSAIC and CSAM through the Local Social Welfare Development Office in coordination with the PNP and the Office of the City Prosecutor, and ensure the regular submission of reports with the DSWD field offices, of course subject to strict confidentiality as provided by law. The third one is to effect the suspension, cancellation, or revocation of permits and licenses of establishments which violate the provisions of this ordinance, RA 11930, and other related laws and policies, like the anti-trafficking laws or the anti-child pornography laws. Next is to undertake the education and information campaigns to prevent and suppress OSAIC and CSAM, to assist, coordinate, and partner with SWDAs in enhancing their resources or technical capabilities to implement anti-OSAIC and CSAM programs, and to establish and support community-based initiatives and prevention programs that aim to educate families against OSAIC and CSAM, to provide basic social services for the prevention, rescue, recovery, rehabilitation, and reintegration under the LSWDO, including aftercare support services to child victim survivors, to assist refer families of child victim survivors for local employment, whether private or public, through the PESO, in coordination with the DOLE as part of the reintegration programs of the government. Also to enact and implement policies to localize efforts against OSAIC and CSAM, taking into account local culture and norms, to coordinate with the Ozamis City Special Justice Zone, the National Coordination Council of OSAIC of OSAIC and CSAM, and the DILG to ensure uniformity and consistency between the local ordinances or insurances, the Act and its IRR, and of course this ordinance. To ensure the participation of the SK and LNB, and the allocation of sufficient funds from the SK Fund and resources for the initiatives against OSAIC and CSAM at the barangay level. To strengthen, activate, and mobilize existing child-focused communities, including Barangay Council for the Protection of the Child, Local Council for the Protection of the Child, Local Committee Against Trafficking and Violence Against Women and Children, councils, similar organizations, and LGUs at the city and barangay levels to prevent and suppress OSAEC and CSAM, to assist and support the victims in the filing of cases until post-judgment. So this one, the Ozamis City Special Justice Zone wanted to assist the victims not only before and during the filing of complaints and cases, but also after, no, the after the judgment and the sentencing. So to also coordinate with refer and endorse to the SWT and other relevant agencies of government all cases of OSAEC and CSAM depending on the needs of the child victim survivor. And to provide technical assistance to barangays and to ensure that they also adopt local ordinances against OSAEC and CSAM. So next, Section 7 refers to the functions of the Ozamis City Special Justice Zone. Now, this is adopted from the Ozamis City Special Justice Zone bylaws, specifically Section 3 thereof. So the roles and responsibilities of the Ozamis City Special Justice Zone are as follows. First, to to address coordination-related challenges and to foster communication and cooperation among justice sector duty bearers at the local level with emphasis on OSAEC and CSAM incidents. To serve as a forum for the generation, sharing, and analysis of relevant information relating but not limited to OSAEC and CSAM incidents. To improve case management and disposition, and to identify underlying causes of and solutions to case backlogs when warranted. To enhance practices for effective witness management. To monitor and evaluate improvements within the local justice zone, and to report recommendations, including policy-related initiatives to the Justice Sector Coordinating Council and other concerned departments and or agencies, and to serve as the local platform for effective interagency coordination in the criminal justice system. So, Section 8 for mandatory services to victims of child sexual abuse or exploitation. The CSWDO, in coordination with the WCPD of the PNP Ozamis City, shall ensure that the child who is a victim of any form of child sexual abuse or exploitation is provided appropriate care, custody, and support for their recovery and reintegration in accordance with existing laws. The child and their families shall be entitled to protection as well as to the rights and benefits of witnesses under RA 6981, or the Anti-Witness Protection, Security, and Benefit Act. So, to ensure recovery, rehabilitation, and reintegration into the mainstream of society, concerned government agencies and the barangays shall make available the following services to victims of any form of child sexual abuse or exploitation. So, we have the following. We have emergency shelter or appropriate housing. We have alternative-based family care, including foster care or kinship care. We have counseling, free legal services, medical and or psychological services, livelihood and skills training, educational assistance, and support services to survivor empowerment, leadership development, advocacy, and participation. So, sustained supervision and follow-through mechanism that will track the progress of recovery, rehabilitation, and reintegration of the child victims shall be adopted and carried out as well. So now let us move on to the role of the City Legal Office under Section 9. Headed by the City Legal Officers, the City Legal Office shall ensure that victim survivors are provided with legal services and assistance, which shall include informing the child victim survivors of their rights and the procedure for filing of complaints, claims for compensation, and such other legal remedies available to them in, of course, in the language known to the child, para masabtan yun nila. This was also added by the Ozamis City Special Justice Zone, to the extent possible and upon being ratified by the Sangguniang Panglungsod in a separate ordinance, the City Legal Officer shall facilitate a seminar or orientation on OSAEC CSAM to all owners of internet cafes and kiosks, as well as PSPs and other hospitality establishments, as a requirement prior to the issuance of a business permit, regardless of the kind of application, whether it is new or renewal. Upon the discretion of the IBPLS, the said establishments may be issued a provisional license for a period of not more than 3 months prior to the completion of the aforementioned OSAEC-CSAM seminars. So, Section 10, duty to report. Any person who has knowledge or information of facts or circumstances that a child is suspected to be a victim of OSAEC-CSAM or other related trafficking, or is about to be a victim, shall immediately report the case to any of the following agencies. No? So we have the Ayakat Action Line, we have the Makabata Helpline, no? Barangay Vow Desk Officers, or members of the LCPC, the members of the LCAT VAUC, CSWDO, the local PNP through its official hotline number, other law enforcement agencies, CSOs, NGOs, and faith-based organizations, and finally, the IBP Legal Aid through their hotline or its official email. Any person who undertakes to perform his duty to report shall be entitled to the protection of a good Samaritan and the safe harbor exception under RA 11930. We have a provision under the Anti-OSAEC-CSAM Act, or specifically Section 7 and 8 thereof, regarding the protection of a good Samaritan and the safe harbor exception. So, any person who undertakes to report any cases involving OSAEC-CSAM may not be held civilly, criminally, or administratively liable. So that's the protection provided under RA 11930. So the Anti-Trafficking Persons Database, the City of Azamis, through its CCAT VAUC or through LCPC, shall monitor and document cases of trafficking in persons, which includes OSAEC and CSAM cases within the city. The CCAT VAUC is tasked to ensure the harmonization of its database, including date requirements, definitions, reporting formats, data collection systems, and data verification systems. So it includes, at the minimum, the following information. So, number of cases of trafficking in persons, sorted according to the status of cases, including the number of cases being investigated, submitted for prosecution, dropped and filed and or pending before the courts, and the number of convictions and acquittals. Demographic profile or information on each case, no? Disaggregated ang sex and age, and the number of victims of TIP referred to by the agency, by destination countries or areas, and by area of origin. And of course, it must be strictly confidential, and access thereto shall only be limited to authorized personnel as may be determined by the CCAT VAUC to protect the identity, privacy, and victims and the welfare of victim survivors, and also pursuant to the Data Privacy Act. Now we have the duty of mall owners, operators, owners, or lessors of other similar business establishments, teachers, health workers, and barangay officials to report. No, they shall immediately notify the local PNP of the Ozamis City and to any of the following agencies under Section 10, like the Ayakat, the Makabata Helpline, or to any of the members of the Multidisciplinary Task Force within 48 hours from obtaining facts and circumstances that child sexual abuse, exploitation, or any sexual activity involving a child is being committed in their premises. Provided that there is a conclusive presumption of their knowledge that public display or any form of child sexual abuse or exploitation within their premises was found, and provided also that there is a disputable presumption of their knowledge when they should know or reasonably know that a violation of this ordinance is being committed in their premises. So photo developers, IT professionals, PSPs, and other person who has direct knowledge of any form of sexual abuse of a child or its exploitation activities shall have the duty to report, or any suspected activity to the proper authorities within 48 hours from discovery thereof. So the city shall have the authority to monitor and regulate the establishment and operation of the internet cafe or kiosks, PSPs, or similar establishments located within the LGU to prevent violation of the provisions of the ordinance. So, internet cafes, PSPs, or similar establishments shall also be required to post within a reasonable time anti-OSAIC and CSAM materials within its premises and to develop and adopt a set of systems and procedures for preventing, blocking, detecting, and reporting of OSAIC and CSAM committed in their premises, which are compatible with the services and products they offer, including the maintenance and management of the updated list of websites, no, or URLs containing OSAIC and CSAM, because there is already a rampant, a lot of websites, no, containing OSAIC and CSAM materials. So, for this purpose, the city, in coordination with the Multidisciplinary Task Force Against OSAIC and CSAM of Ozamis City, shall formulate and provide a model poster containing the city's slogan against OSAIC and CSAM. And upon being ratified by the Sangguniang Panlungsod in a separate ordinance, all internet cafe and kiosks, PSPs, and similar establishments included in the preceding section shall undergo a seminar or orientation on OSAIC CSAM as a requirement prior to the issuance of a business permit, regardless of the kind of application, whether it is new or renewal. Upon the discretion of the IBPLS, the said establishments may be a provisional license for a period of not more than 3 months prior to the completion of the aforementioned OSAIC CSAM seminars. So, programs for victims of child sexual abuse or exploitation. The city shall develop and implement the necessary programs that will prevent any form of child sexual abuse or exploitation, as well as protect, heal, and reintegrate the child into the mainstream of society. It includes the following programs, but not limited to the following. No? First is the provision of mandatory services, including counseling, free legal services, or those mentioned earlier, no, like livelihood and skills training, support services, and the like. Sponsorships of a national research program on any form of child sexual abuse or exploitation, and other acts covered by the law, and the establishment of a data collection system for monitoring and evaluation purposes. The provision of necessary technical and material support services to appropriate government agencies and non-governmental organizations. Sponsorship of conferences and seminars to provide venue for consensus building amongst the public, the academe, government, non-governmental, and international organizations, no, including the regional network of care. Promotion of information and education campaign, the survivor empowerment, leadership development, advocacy, and participation, and establishment of a survivor network and local survivor support group. So it can also be provided to the immediate family members as long as they are not the offending party, and there is also no indication of bias in favor of the perpetrator. We now move on to the MDCC, or the Multidisciplinary Case Management. No? So in handling and management of cases of child victims, the approach should be multidisciplinary, and an MDCC shall be conducted. And the Multidisciplinary Task Force, or the MDT, against OSAIC and CSAM shall spearhead the conduct of such MDCC and may tap into anyone from its agency members to be included in the MDCC. So the following are the duties and functions of the MDT against OSAIC CSAM. First is to conduct proactive surveillance and intelligence gathering to prevent online sexual abuse and exploitation, to investigate reported cases, gather evidence, and collaborate with law enforcement for legal prosecution, to coordinate rescue missions and provide comprehensive support to survivors, ensuring their safety and well-being, to engage in public awareness campaigns and advocacy efforts to combat OSAIC CSAM, and to foster partnerships with relevant agencies and organizations to strengthen prevention and response mechanisms. So the composition of the MDT against OSAIC CSAM is composed of the Executive Committee and the Network of Care Multidisciplinary Team Committees, or the NOC-MDC. So the Executive Committee shall be composed of the following. So the chairperson will be our city mayor. The co-chair will be the lead convener of the Justice Zone. The vice chair internal will be the OJ official of the city. The vice chair external will be the PNP official of the city. The secretariat will be the DepEd official of the city and Sangguniang Panglungsod members. And the overall committee coordinator will be the city legal office. So the following duties and functions of the executive committee. First is to spearhead strategic planning and policy formulation to combat child abuse and exploitation, to ensure seamless coordination among committee members and external stakeholders, to maintain accurate records and facilitate transparent communication channels, and to provide guidance and support for the effective implementation of initiatives. For the Network of Care MDC coordinators, they will be composed of the following. For the committee coordinator for protection services, we have the Women and Children Protection Desks, or the WCPD. For mental health services, we have the CSWD. For medical services, we have the City Health Office. For legal services, we have the Integrated Bar of the Philippines. For education, we have DepEd for both private and public schools. For capital livelihood assistance, will be the CHRMO. Placement services will be the CSWD. For capacity building, we have DILG. For advocacy, we have the Colleges of Law of Misamis University and LaSalle University. For spiritual advocacy, we have the Archbishop of Misamis and the UCCP head pastor. For youth programs, we have SK Federation President. And for membership, we have the Office of the Clerks of Court in the Hall of Justice, Misamis. So the following are the duties and functions of the committee coordinators or the NOC MDC. So first, to lead efforts within their designated areas to address specific challenges related to child protection, to oversee the execution of programs and services tailored to meet the needs of the survivors and at-risk children, to build partnerships and mobilize resources to enhance committee effectiveness, and to monitor progress, evaluate outcomes, and adjust strategies as needed. So for trainings, regular trainings and seminars shall be held to enable the members of the MDT and the City Council to function effectively. Similar trainings shall also be provided to the following officials and volunteers for the purpose of equipping them with the necessary knowledge and skills to prevent and suppress OSAEC-CSAM in their area of jurisdiction, or to assist in the monitoring, investigation, and prosecution of cases of OSAEC-CSAM. So it involves barangay Baudesk officers, law enforcement officers, social workers, teachers, and their parents, volunteer groups, barangay-based volunteer groups, and including women and youth groups, and of course, other stakeholders. So in partnership with medical authorities and educational institutions, a program for counseling and stress management shall be developed for social workers and other frontline OSAIC responders by the Department of Health and as well as the CSWDO. For the establishment of a healthy and child-friendly spaces or other existing child centers, temporary shelters in the LGU that can be used for the same purpose. So the city shall establish a LCPRC, or a local child protection and response center, which will serve as a refuge for the child victim survivors in general. So this was added by the Special Justice Zone of Misamis City, that the City of Misamis may seek assistance from the EU GoJust program, UNOPS, and other international and local NGOs. And it shall provide for temporary shelters for abused children, interview rooms, and multidisciplinary task force against OSAIC and CSAM. And the LCPRC shall be provided with adequate personnel and administrative staff to effectively serve the best interests of the children. So in the absence of any LCPRC or its equivalent center, a specific room in the LGU shall be established in accordance with the requirements of a child-friendly space that will serve the purpose of promoting the best interests of child victims. Or in the alternative, any community daycare center shall be utilized as a child-friendly space for the interview and processing. The LCPRC shall also serve as an assessment center to address the gap in the provision of comprehensive and timely assessments of OSAIC-CSAM survivor placement, as the basis for other partners in the NOC to provide case management. So its primary role is to provide a safe and temporary home for newly rescued OSA-XCSAM survivors. No? So this is where they can receive specialized services and support for the start of their recovery. So the staff includes a team of professionals, no, including psychologists, counselors, social workers, medical doctors and nurses, and paraprofessionals including house parents, security personnel, and administrative support staff. Now, they will provide critical care, specialized services, and comprehensive assessment to newly rescued OSA-XCSAM survivors. These members are expected to intentionally care for the children during their whole stay in the assessment center, whilst employing trauma-informed care to support survivors in the recovery and development of attachment skills. So the case management team also can be composed of the social worker, psychologist, nurse, and medical doctor, law enforcement officers, and lawyers. No? And they are designated to complete an individualized assessment of the child and their families. The critical assessments undertaken includes but not limited to psychological, medical, psychosocial, and family assessments. These assessments of the child and their families are critical, no, in determining the permanency plan for the child, be it reunification with their relatives or reintegration through other avenues such as foster care, adoption, and independent living. Through this center, the process of transitioning a child to a permanent placement option is expected to be fast-tracked, no, rather than extending the child's stay long-term inside the shelter. So basically, this is just a temporary shelter for the survivors. To facilitate the proper assessment of the child, no, and further support the prosecution of the OSA-XCSAM cases, the City of Ozami shall establish at least one room at the LCPRC, specifically designated or specifically designed to conduct video in-depth disclosure interview or VD pursuant to Rules 28 and 29 of the Rules on the Examination of Child Witnesses. So, considering that the requirement of a child-friendly space, it must be adequately established with a proper personnel and equipment. So, for example, one-way mirrors, recorders, etc. So, in the absence of an LCPRC, or a fully equipped facility or room, the VD may be conducted in a room assessed by the social worker to be fit for a child for a child interview pursuant to the requirements of a child-friendly space with a VD mobile kit in accordance with the rule on examination of a child witness. So there shall also be an established VD trained team, including a social worker, a police officer who is properly trained or investigator, psychiatrist or psychologist or licensed physician. The MDT shall be adequately trained in conducting VDs to ensure that they have a child protective mindset and that evidence derived from the same will be admissible in court. So for the VD mobile kit, it will be only composed of cameras, the laptops, tripods, storage medias, extension cords and forms, and support documents folder including consent forms and the like. For Section 25, the City of Ozami shall conduct a robust prevention and awareness program to combat OSA-XCSAM. So the local government shall declare the 3rd of September as an anti-OSA-XCSAM day to increase awareness against the crime and in line with the celebration of Family Month. So for Section 26, for the penalties, no, this was heavily discussed during the meeting on the 14th of August. So without prejudice to the penalties and fines as may be provided by other relevant laws, the following penalties for violations of any of the prohibited acts and any provision of the ordinance are hereby imposed as follows. First offense, the offender found to be violating any of the prohibited acts and any provision of the ordinance shall be penalized with a fine of 4,000 pesos and shall undergo a mandatory OSA-XCSAM seminar. For its second offense, will be a fine of 4,500 pesos. And again, a mandatory OSA-XCSAM seminar. And the third offense will be 5,000 pesos fine and shall undergo a mandatory OSA-XCSAM seminar and shall suffer the penalty of 1 year imprisonment. So business establishments found to have violated any of the provisions of this ordinance shall be subjected to suspension or revocation of business permit regarding on the number of offenses na ilahan ng na-take. No? And in cases when any provision of this ordinance is violated by any government agency, office or instrumentality, or any government employee, there should be proceeded administratively. And it shall not preclude the prosecution of a case under RA 11930, no? By the DOJ National Prosecution Office, which shall have control over whether to file an excisam offense under the ordinance or the law. It should be noted under Section 21 of the Article 3 of the Philippine Constitution regarding the prohibition on double jeopardy. Finally, for funding, a minimum annual amount of 500,000 pesos shall be allocated for the implementation of the ordinance. And the operation and activities of the council and establishment of the LCPRC shall be considered as related to gender development programs, and funding shall be 5% under the Gender Development Fund for every year. So the funding shall not be limited to the above-mentioned source for so long as other sources may be available as permitted by law. And partnerships with the NGOs, CSOs, and private enterprises or individuals is encouraged for the implementation of this ordinance. So we will not be discussing now the repealing separability clauses and effectivity. So that concludes the proposed ordinance for anti-OSAIC and CSAM. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Dodds, for your presentation. Anyway, this ordinance was already approved on first reading. Nanatagi mo nga first public hearing last time. And then this second public hearing, special public hearing today. So, I will, as my deputy leader, I will schedule for plenary second reading on August 25, next week. For second reading na. And then we'll debate again on this. Some provisions, murag wala kayo debate din nga, may namin yung pagka-alig-ig sa atong special justice on. No? So, again, thank you, Judge Monterramos and the members of the special justice on for your proactive participation in revising this ordinance. We owe you a lot. Thank you. And then, it's about time that we'll have our lunch. May I continue other matters for discussion? Para ato ang ginimuhuman. Para mag-lunch, wala tayo discussion. In other matters. So I guess there's none. May I request, do I hear a motion to adjourn? From members of this body. Honorable De Lonsod, please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. May I therefore move to adjourn the special committee hearing for this ordinance, Mr. Chair.
There's a motion by Honorable De Lonsod to adjourn this special public hearing. Do I hear any remarks, observation, comments, objections? The chair has none. And thank you, everybody. Attorney Arinbia, Ma'am Arinbia, thank you, everybody. So, this special public hearing is now adjourned. We'll have a lunch. Just